Yeah, good evening all. So we'll just wait for a minute and we will start continuing. So if my audio is clear and screen is visible, just type in chat that you're able to hear and view. And thank you for joining. Just update in chat that you're able to
Yeah,
connect.
good evening all. So we'll just wait for a minute and we will start continuing. So if my audio is clear and screen is visible, just type in chat that you're.
Okay, the question starts with when will the word line results be done? So Monday you will get the results. Don't worry. Max by Monday, end of the day, you will get the results. Yeah, okay. So let's start now. So this is the basic fundamental question every time is asked in interview, right? So fundamentals of object-oriented programming. So we are trying to make this session in such a way that is helpful for a Java guy. So it is not only for Java, for any language it works out. Just for more precise, the examples will be in Java so that you understand it much better. So that is the thing here. Okay. So, what are the points that we are going to cover here? The points that we are covering: introduction to object-oriented programming, meaning the significance of software development, what are classes and objects, how they are basics for OOPs, exploring the inheritance option, encapsulation. We will be discussing. After that, we will be discussing on polymorphism. In between, there will be multiple quizzes asked. There are have added some quiz in between so that just view that question and you can answer it, and whoever answers first in the chat box will get an opportunity of booking a gift, just a bit. So it is nothing like a special gift or something. It's just making the learning with fun so that you all are learning at the same time, and just for a motivation you are getting some gifts also. So that is the point here. So let's start. So object-oriented programming. So what is special? So in previously what we had a procedure and then we came into OOPS programming. So here what we will have classes, and in classes we have objects. So the classes we define the classes where it will contain variables, and so what you are trying to do is you are making it into a compact such that the functions and variables whichever is required for that module is kept in a class, and you can use it in multiple times and go through also. So which makes your life simple. So procedure, you have to write it line by line, go to a deep long view, right? But here in OOPS, what you can do, you can structure it into different objects. Say, for example, we are taking as a car. In a car, what will be that? Just take an functionality of a car or just branding a car. So we build a wheel function, right? So wheel function has the option. So that object is separate. When you want multiple options, so we need four wheels. You can just keeping one class, you uh, derive it into multiple objects. So you create four instances of that and use it like that. And at the same time, what is the advantage of object-oriented programming? Say if you can protect the variables in such a way such that the same variable can be used in later stage also. If you are want to module, you are going to split down into different modules and you are working in it. If different persons are working, if the same variable is used by multiple person, then it will become a mesh, right, in a procedure. But in object oriented, it is binded data, and the function is binded using a class, which helps you to make it easy, or which helps you how to make it in such a way that the program is not crashing or working in a streamless way. So the key concepts that we will be discussing here is classes. and objects, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. So these are the things which we say that are the main key concepts of OOPS programming. So that's what we discuss. For any fresher also, we get the same question, right? So multiple questions when we ask of OOPS, these are the basic fundamentals which is required for any object-oriented problem, whatever may be, it, it is using Java, or if you are going for C++, or if you are going for Python, all of them percent. So why OOPS is essential in modern software development? Why we go it? Modularity. This is the first main thing. Modularity. What do you mean by it? You are splitting into separate modules. Say, for example, if you take a car, so the accelerator part remains with one module. You can ask a group of people to work on accelerator module, one particular group to work on wheel module, one particular module to move work on the structure or the framework of the car. So like this, you can split them into different modules and you can distribute them, and you can collect them back and group and make it into a single application also. That is also possible. So modularity is much simple. But when you are writing a procedure, it is not possible to do this modularity because the variables functions which may be used may be reused by some other person, and it will become very difficult in Ruin. And abstraction. What do you mean by abstraction here? Abstraction here is hiding. See, actually, for example, for a end user who is using the accelerator, it is enough for him if he knows the functionality of the accelerator, how to use it. Just by pressing the pedal, he can get the data, something like that. If it is that is enough for him, he need not know the complete what is happening in the background of it. And sometimes it is not at all. It gives unnecessary ambiguity or unnecessary points which may confuse the end user, right? So for these reasons, so abstractions comes into picture so that it is hidden and whatever is needed to be shown to the end user alone is displayed. That is it. Then reusability of the code. Say the same thing, no, when we discuss. So we are trying to develop a tire. So in tire module, what we are trying, what is the size of it, everything. If you are passing it as a parameters and using it, the same tire module is ready now. Now, instead of a two-wheeler, you are going for a four-wheeler or you are going for a heavy vehicle. What you have to do, you have to add multiple tires. At the same time, you can pass the parameters to it saying that what is the size of the wheel, what is the height and width of the dimension. So when you give it, you can be easily reuse the same functionality. Just for an example, so that reusability is there. And maintenance also, if it is a single procedure, what will happen if something goes wrong, you have to go through all the code line by line where it went. But when you are using as modules, it is much easy to get the particular thing and you can resolve it. So you can see where it went wrong, and you can only concentrate on that particular module by maintaining. So maintenance becomes much easy for you. Same way is scalability. Scalability means, say, for example, if you want to extend to multiple instances or multiple things, it is much easier, right? So because you have a blueprint of class, and when you create an initiate variable and declare, it becomes an instance of a class or an object. So multiple objects can be used and do the functionality much easier, which is not possible in a procedure. So modern language in OOPS concept is very much for a modern nowadays language. So this transition, what we found in procedure to OOPS is, in procedure, what will when whatever if you declare a variable or data, it becomes a global data, right? So it becomes global data and limited reusability. Even though you have that function concept, you cannot use it in see. So there is a particular restriction, but the same function name or something, if you are giving it a class, you are creating as a module, you can use that complete module. But here you have a limitations is there. Difficulty in managing complexity. If it is a very big algorithm or a very big program that you are going to use it, then it becomes much difficult in using. So difficulty in managing complex or very big applications. So that is the drawback that we had in procedural, and this OOPS concept came into an existence which solved you most of the issues, right? So just giving an example for an procedural approach. So here, say we define as a struct. bank account, and we have given us a double balance. So when we are initializing the different things, say for example, I want to initialize, just taken an example of a bank transaction where first we initialize our account, we deposit the amount and we withdraw it. So that is how it is there, right? So first for initialization, you have to give it a struct bank account and you have to use the pointer and double initial balance. So now you get the struct inside. You should pass the struct inside the function. At the same time, the balance you have to pass, and you can do that concepts like account balance, initializing the balance, or if you want to deposit amount, add amount to it, or at the same time withdrawing amount to it. So if it is greater than that, you check and you get it. So withdrawing amount. So this is the way you will be drawing, which is looks little bit complex. So this is a simple example. The simple example is little bit complex, right? So but when you compare with an object oriented approach, it is much simple, right? So you can give it as public class blank account. You declare it as a private double balance. Then you go for public bank account. Initialize balance, directly you can go. Deposit, just you can pass the amount, and at the same time withdrawal, you can just pass the amount and you can do the withdrawal. So it is much simpler when you compare it for a normal, when you go for a procedural approach, right? It's much simple and very clear. Why do we need that structure to be passed in as a parameter and go? So instead of it, we are using it much easily, and much clarity is there when you go for an object oriented approach. So in real world, so this we have already discussed. So I'm taking an example how you are, if it is a car that you are driving. So there are different modules you can split out. So wheel module will be taken part by a particular person, and accelerator part will be taken part one person, and the structuring of the part, coloring, so giving the blueprint. So those things can be taken by, and it can be integrated so in such a way. So what has happened? You are written a functionality, you are written a program for a car. Now you want to extend this same for a heavy vehicle. Then the number of wheels is getting, only you need to change the structural part, but the wheel module remains the same, the accelerator module remains the same, the brake part remains the same. So these things remains the same, right? So you can reuse it. So that is the real world scenario, how you can and use it. Then coming to classes and object, how a class and object will be there. So class will be, say for example, here we have a class with person, and we are defining it as a self name and age. So self name equal to name and self age equal to age. Here person one is a variable that you are going. What you are doing, you are giving initializing the object. So person is a class, and you are passing the parameter alias and 10, and his age is 30. So now person 1 becomes an instance of this class called person, and it is also known as an object. So person 1 is, now if you want to access the variables directly, what you can do, you can give it as person 1 dot name or age or function, whatever is it, you can go with it, right? So that is much simple. So that's just how a class is defined and object. So hope you got the class and object. So person 1 is an object, person 2 and is a and another object, which is nothing but the instance of the class, right? So there are two objects with it. Now inheritance. This is very much popular and very much in need when we go for an object-oriented programming. What do we mean by inheritance? Inheriting the property. Say, for example, if we go for if there is a medical problem for a particular guy, also, what will happen? Doctor will ask whether your parents had sugar or something like that. He will ask, because what is there? Sometimes we inherit the properties of it. That is nothing but the parent class, and the child will be inheriting the properties. So that will be sometimes the question, right? Same way here, what is inheritance is nothing but there will be a parent class, and you want to use that class variables or functions into your new class, then it becomes inheritance. Right. So you are inheriting the properties. Inheriting, you want to reuse the same variable, or you want to reuse the same function or method into your new class, and proceed further, then you can go for it. So that is the inheritance. So if you take a basic example here, so a class vehicle is there, and class car, which extends the vehicle property, and you're giving here class motorcycle is also extending. So it is just a simple way of doing it, but in much clarity, if you see, there are different types of inheritance here. So the first one is single inheritance. What is single inheritance? A class can inherit from only one superclass, so it will be inheriting only one superclass, right? Not multiple. So there will be one superclass or a parent class, which we say it will be inheriting the properties. So here, just see the example here. Class name is animal here. Void eat is a method name given, and system.out.println animal is eating. Here, the next you can see it as class dog extends animal. So what is it? It is extending the animal property. So only one animal property, animal class it is extending. Now, when it goes for void box system.out.println dog is barking. So, what is it? It is inheriting only one superclass, or you can say that it is inheriting only one parent class. Then we go for a single inheritance. Next comes multiple inheritance. In Java, it is very clear that Java does not support multiple inheritance of a class. It does not support multiple inheritance because there could be an ambiguity. If it is not supporting, then how can be achieved? So there is an alternate option for it, which we called as interfaces. So using interfaces, you can achieve the same concept here. However, see, for example, if you are taking interface swimming, void swim, just interface flying, void fly, just given here. Now, class bird implements swimming and flying. So in that case, this is what? So swimming and flying, in multiple inheritance, what we do, we need to inherit two or multiple classes, right? So here, swimming and flying are two multiple classes, which I am trying to inherit, but in the form of interface, because if there is the same thing where same functionality which is taking in place, it will become ambiguous and it will lead to an error. So that's why Java does not supports it, and we can achieve this with the help of interfaces, right? So now you got this. Next one is multi-level inheritance. It is nothing but the chaining option. So it is the way of chaining the data and using it. Say in this example, you can see there is a class A and we have a class B. So now in class B, what do you say? We extend A. So class B has this is the child class, which is have inheriting the properties of a super class or parent class called class A. Now again come to the third class. You can see that class C extends B. So A is in C extends B and B extends A and A is the superclass. Like this, if you are going in a multiple chain like thing, it becomes multiple inheritance. So this is what we call it as this is what we call it as multi-level inheritance. Hope you are getting the concept right. Is it clear? Just update in chat that you are getting the concept clear and it is or understanding it. So just giving clarity. So recently we had an interview that people were struggling in object-oriented approach. So that's why I thought of giving a session so that you can do better in this object-oriented program. So that is the idea or that is the motivity of this session. And usually we have this Saturday 6 o'clock session, right? So where we discuss on the concepts, something new also we learn. So this is a basic concept, but this basic fundamental questions is asked many times, which we are missing it. So that's why I thought of giving it here. Next comes hierarchical inheritance. What is meant by hierarchy? Hierarchical inheritance means there is one vehicle, say class vehicle is there. Now a class car is there. Class car extends vehicle. And at the same time, you can see class bike also extends the class as vehicle. So if it is of such type, we call it as hierarchical inheritance. Got it. So this is what we call it as an hierarchical inheritance. Right. Next one is hybrid. Hybrid is nothing but it is the combination of things. It could be a single combination of multiple. It could be multi-level. So if it is doing a combination of it, then we say that it is an hybrid inheritance, and it can lead to complex classes also. So that is hybrid. Now it's your quiz time. Just type in chat the answer for this. In OOPS, what is the primary purpose of inheritance? Whoever gives the first answer. To create the instance of a class or to bundle the data and methods into a single unit, to allow a subclass to inherit the properties and behavior of a superclass, to define the structure of an object. So just type the answer in the chat. Yeah, just option is enough. Yeah, good, good, good. Okay, okay. Okay, so everybody is started giving this. Okay, so hope you got the answer. Just for fun, we are doing this. Okay. Next comes polymorphism. So, what is meant by polymorphism? Polymorphism is much nothing but poly. Poly means having multiple formation. So, having multiple forms using. So, if you take a function and the same function is reused, if you are using the same function, reusing it, but with different parameter type, or you are using it with a different return type. Say if a function is a function add is of type integer, it is returning, or if it is of type void, it is returning, or with the type double, it is returning. So it becomes different forms, right? At the same time, the parameters that are passed to the polymorphism, say for example, if it is given as int a or void or float or something like that, then it becomes the different types. It takes the different. So everything can run separately in a different form. So that is what we call it as polymorphism. There are two types of polymorphism here. Here, compile time polymorphism, nothing but static binding. So what is it? The static polymorphism, its type is polymorphism, is resolved during compile time. So when is it resolved? It is during the compile. It occurs when the method to be called is determined at the compile time based on the method name, the number and the type of its parameters it gives. So it is nothing but in a simple language, if you say, it is nothing but method overloading. So method overloading is a common form of compile time polymorphism which we have, right? Method overloading. So giving an example for method overloading, here you have a calculator class. In that we have an int add where it is taking in variables int a and int b and returning it. And another thing is double. So the return type is different and it is having the same function add, and also the parameter name is double here. So like this, it is nothing but a method over loading. So this is one thing. Another thing is runtime polymorphism, which is also known as dynamic binding. So here, what will happen? It occurs when the execution is determined at the runtime based on the actual type. So it is determined only in the runtime, not in the compilation time. Only when the program is executed. That is much clarity. What is runtime and compilation? Compilation, you change the program into a bytecode, right? So that is the stage, and you may not be in the execution. You are just compiling and keeping it ready for execution. But this happens, this is executed only at the runtime. So when the execution, you are running the bytecode, in that time it is happening. So here, what is here? You will take the class animal, void, make sound. So here, again, you are using class dog, which extends the animal, but here you give override. So this is nothing but method overriding. So method overriding, that is nothing but a runtime polymorphism. Method overriding comes in runtime polymorphism, and method overloading compile comes in compile time polymorphism. So this clarity must be much clear with you. So I can see that many of you were lacking, many of the students are lacking this clarity. What is the difference between in this? Right. Hope you got this. And another thing is method overriding with super. So that is another way of doing it also. Method overriding with super. When you override a method in a subclass, you can use the super keyword to call the overridden method in the superclass. That's how it is. This allows you to extend the behavior of the superclass method rather than completely replacing it. So how it is, it only gives you the behavior of it instead of completely replacing it. You are not completely replacing it, you are just using the behavior of it. So method overriding, how can you can do? So only thing the difference is you will be giving a super. So class animal here also you will be using the dog extends override is given. But here you give super as make sound call the super class method. In that way you can call the super class method and achieve the need. Right. So this is method overriding. So now polymorphism also can be achieved with the help of interface. Java also supports polymorphism to interface. The main thing is compile time and runtime only, but there are addition to it also, which I want to give a light on, throw some light on it. So polymorphism with interfaces, where different classes can be implemented at the same interface, providing the own implementation of information. It allows objects of different classes to be treated interchangeably based on their interfaces. Say, for example, if you take interface shape, you are given void draw. Class circle implements shape. So actually, what is that? Whenever you are using an interface, you will use it as class implements. So implements, and you give the same override void system.out.println. So like this, you can achieve. Again, you can go with class rectangle implements shape and override void. So system in this implementation form in this interface formation also you can achieve polymorphism. That is one more concept here. Okay, now for your quiz, so just type in chat the question, I mean the option which is opted for this. What is the concept of polymorphism in OOPS? The ability of class to hide its implementation details, the practice of bundling data and method into a single unit, the ability of objects of different classes to be treated as objects and common superclass, the process of creating multiple instances of a class. Yes, what is the answer? Okay, here people are little bit confused getting different answer. Okay, anyway, got it. Good, good. Go on. Okay, good. There is a good participation here. Good. So hope you are able to grab things and you're answering it correctly. Thank you. Next comes encapsulation. So what is encapsulation? So we saw, no, we need to hide certain data to the user. In that case, we go for encapsulation. We have discussed this in this thing. So what is the main thing? How do we hide it? So for doing this, we have the keywords like public, private, and protected. So these are the things that we are using this. We can achieve this encapsulation. So what are they? They are nothing but public, private, and protected. So if you give public, what will happen? It can be accessed from any class. So if you declare variables as public, or if you are declaring the methods as public, then what is that? You can use the method, you can use the variable or method in any class of it. So that's how it goes. Right. So you can see how it will be given. It will be given with public int, public var, or public void, public method. So this is just an example I have given. So if you're giving something like this, then it can be accessed from any class. So that is much important. Next one comes is protected. So what do you mean by protected? Protected means you can access it from the derived class. So when you give as protected, if you are inheriting to a derived class, then from the derived class, you will be able to access this functionality that is becomes protected. So how will you declare it? It will be giving as protected, int protected way. You can go for a variable or you can go for a method also. In both the things, it will work. So this is partial encapsulation. This, if you see this, is there is no encapsulation. The data is visible throughout all the classes that you're going here. But when you go give it as protected, it is partially encapsulated. That is only which is inheriting the class, which is inheriting the parent class, which is having this particular protected data types can be accessed. But when you give as private, it cannot be accessed outside that class. You cannot access the variable or you cannot access the function outside the class. Even if it is inherited, you will not be able to do it. So that is the difference we have here. These are the different ways of in using this. Hope this was a short session. We thought I will keep this short for just an half an hour. We, even though I mentioned as 60 minutes, I'll close it with half an hour session. So just you get a clarity on how things works. And next, if you have any particular topic that you want to be given for the next week Saturday session, please add comments so that we'll take the session. Already we had certain sessions. I will share those links also with you all. You can go through it. Now comes the question. So already you have started answering, I think. So what does the term encapsulation refers to? The ability to create object from class, the binding of data and methods to operate data in a single unit, the process of making class member public, the ability to override the methods and service. B. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so that was a very good participation and hope I have made the basic concept of object-oriented programming much easy for you. So actually, this time I can see that there are the first persons or for all the three questions, the first person is different. Okay, don't worry. It is Lokesh is there, Jayesh is there, and other one is oh, yes, it's Paranjal Chowdhury. So three have given the first answers. So all three will be getting gifts. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Hope you enjoyed the session. If you really enjoyed the session, just type that you need so more such session. I'm trying to give you much clarity on certain things so that it's makes you easy for when you go for any interview and do it. Was the session really useful? Just comment yes. If you found that it was nothing special, you can just say no special, nothing special, so that it gives me much clarity that did you really like the session or not. Yeah, thank you. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Hope you are going through the contents. So tomorrow we will display a few more contents on interview questions. Thank you. Thank you all. Bye.